Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is Sam here from Ireland. Thank you for joining us. We're starting the webinar just slightly early just to give a few folks time to join. So we're just going to wait here a couple of more minutes so we see folks just joining and then we'll get started. So thank you for your patience. Perfect. Well, good morning again, good evening, good afternoon. I know we have folks globally attending this Tech Talk series, so thank you very much for your time. I know everyone's time is precious. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today. This is the inaugural Tech Talk series from Ireland. We're doing a series across the next few months. We really want to welcome feedback, so any feedback you have after this, do let us know. We want to tailor this to your requirements and make this really relevant. We wanted to make this series really technical focused. We know a lot of people considering the cloud really interested in the technical details, not just the commercials. And this one's really about delving into what we think is pretty unique about Ireland, the Ireland Secure Cloud Console, which is the way our end users and our customers connect to the cloud and consume it and configure it and control it. So that's the main topic today. We are going to be having various questions throughout, but do queue them up towards the end. Part of the agenda here, if I go through, we're going to be doing a round of introductions, really introducing myself and the company. The main event, really, that demonstration in the Ireland Secure Cloud Console. And as I just mentioned there, we'll be going to be doing a Q&A, really answering your questions that are burning as you've been seeing the demonstration. So hold those towards the end, put them into the chat box in GoToMeeting. We'll get to those and we'll be really happy to answer them. If you don't think of a question now, feel free to reach out afterwards and we'll be happy to answer that directly with you. So in terms of introductions, that's myself in the middle there. My name's Sam Woodcock, been with Ireland 6 years. I currently head up the solution architecture team within Ireland across Europe and in Asia. And you might ask yourself, what is solution architecture? Well, really it is around design, implementation, making sure that we get the details of our customers, understand their requirements and fit a solution that we provide to them. So that's my role within the company, and I do a lot of these day-to-day demonstrations, really tuned to what customers are looking for. My contact details are on there, Twitter, Facebook, etc., as well as my email address. Feel free to reach out at any point, and I'll be happy to answer any questions directly. For those on the call who haven't heard of Ireland before, I wanted to give you a quick whistle-stop tour of Ireland as a company. Ireland has been in business for 22 years, really delivering IT services, a lot of experience in that space. We've focused on the last 12 years of delivering cloud and disaster recovery, and we have 8 global data centers that deliver those cloud services, and they're all compliant to the common standards within the compliant industry. The main thing that we're known for, first of all, a lot of people see us in the leader quadrant of the Gartner MQ for DR as a service, and that's been for the last 3 years. And we're very happy to see our position in the top right-hand corner of this year's recently released Gartner Magic Quadrant. So that's the most known piece of Ireland, but we do offer production services, cloud backup, as well as lab services as well. So really check us out across the board. And you can see a bunch of the partners that we work with, people like Veeam, Zerto, VMware, Cisco, and others. And we're actually really proud to be the service provider of the year with a lot of those companies. So as you're evaluating infrastructure projects, DR projects, and cloud backup projects, and you're looking at the technologies, you'll often come across Ireland. We'd be happy to guide you through that and provide you an option from the Ireland cloud perspective. So that's a little bit about myself. I didn't want to spend too long on slides, and a little bit about the company. Again, feel free to ask questions or post those after the meeting. But I do want to introduce the Ireland Secure Cloud Console, first of all from a high level and a technical level, and then I'm going to do a live demonstration of that as we speak. So that's really the main event of this Tech Talk series, a live demonstration of the Ireland Cloud Console. But to move to the next slide, this is really a little bit about what actually runs that cloud console and what we've integrated into it to provide the experience we do to our end users. So at the baseline on the bottom corner, along the bottom, you'll see the physical components that make up our cloud environments. We've built on best-of-breed enterprise-grade technologies, things like Cisco UCS, Nimble Storage, and Cisco Networking. The main reasons for that is for high availability, security, scalability, reliability, and all of the things that enterprises rely on for hosting either production or disaster recovery workloads in the cloud. So we're very transparent about that. We work with all of these vendors, and we want to make sure that your cloud environment performs as well as possible. And then we build upon that with a common technology that hopefully a lot of people on the call know and love and use on premises. We use VMware vSphere as well as vCloud Director. And what this provides is the underlying virtualization to allow us to build those virtual machines, to provide a platform for that with all the technologies that you know and love, things like high availability, fault tolerance, virtual networking, all of those good pieces. And you can see in the middle, we've integrated VMware's NSX platform for network virtualization. And that's really key for production hosting and DR hosting as well, making sure that we can actually produce a networking topology that meets your requirements. We've also integrated best-of-breed technologies, things like Veeam backup and replication, Zerto virtual replication, things like Trend Micro Deep Security. And this provides the core of our cloud platform. And we're talking today about the Island Secure Cloud Console, which is the user interface into our cloud. But the baseline Island Secure Cloud platform is built upon all of the core technologies you see underneath, providing security services, providing backup services, providing the ability to do disaster recovery, not only from an on-premises environment, but between Island clouds as well. And the way that our customers consume that is through that cloud console. And some of the core concepts and some of the core functionality that then is as a result of providing that console are things like having visibility into your workloads, having the ability to monitor them, judge performance and judge availability, being able to see the automated VM backups that we do and actually restore back from those at any point in time, defining your networking at a software level, analyzing the core security technologies and the compliance reporting that we build in, and having the ability to fail over and test your DR solution, again, through the Cloud Console at Island. And that's one of the things that we're doing as part of the live demonstration as well. So really, those are some of the core concepts that we'll demonstrate today. The main event really, as I say, is to actually demonstrate this in action. I think we really are pretty unique here that in all of our demonstrations that we do to our customers, we use live environments, our live production platform, and we actually show these things in the real world in place. We don't do videos, we don't do screenshots. We're actually showing those things in action. So that's what I'm going to be doing today as part of my demonstration. So with that, I'm going to actually just go across from the slide deck, and I'm going across to our Cloud Console, as you can see. And just to show you that this is actually within a real-world console, I've gone across here, and you can see that I'm attached to console.islandcloud.com. So this is where you can get to the Island Cloud Console. And the nice thing here is it's fully HTML5 based. There's no Flash here. There's no critical technologies that are based on plugins or proprietary technology. Everything is fully HTML based. So what that means is that you can administrate your cloud environment through this interface, and it can be done through any device. It can be done through your laptop, your PC. It can be done through mobile devices such as iOS and Android devices, as well as the iPads as well, for example. The idea being that we wanted to make the Cloud Console as accessible as possible on the go or in the office. So I've navigated to that, as you can see. And when I go into the dashboard of the Island Cloud Console, this is typically where our customers of our infrastructure platform or our DR service actually consume that service. And you can see I have a range of Island locations on the left-hand side. So along the top left, we have the navigation items, and these are the core areas that you're interested in, things like networking, DR, security, and billing. And then we, below that, have the relevant locations that you subscribe to. So we do have a lot of multinational companies that distribute their services across North America, across Europe, and into Asia, and they want a single unified interface to manage all of those. And we do that and deliver that through the Island Cloud Console. So you can see in my example, I have Amsterdam, Dallas, Los Angeles, Manchester, Reston, Singapore, and Sydney. And the nice thing here is I only connect once to the Cloud Console, and then I can actually go between those locations and see exactly what I have running in all of those different sites. They may be DR in one location and production in another, backup in one location and DR in another. You can administrate, again, those all through a single unified interface. And that's really nice if you think about that from your IT perspective. It's really clunky to have to go to different URLs and remember what those are and log into them with different user interfaces and passwords. You, again, have a single interface to log into here to manage different services in different geographies, which is really powerful, I think. So you can see an example of that. Today, I'm going to be showing you some production services. I'm also going to be showing you some DR services. Now, one of the questions that we often get is, how do we secure access to this Cloud Console? Because this gives you a lot of power and control, right? It gives you lots of power into your IT enterprise, and you want to secure that from people willing to do you harm. So we actually counter that with a number of measures. Number one, we provide two-factor authentication, obviously a given in today's industry. And what we also do is we provide the ability for you to define your user management and your users within the organization. So at any point, you can define the users who have access to this Cloud Console. And this can be per region. So you can say this user has access to one region, but not another. And also you can then define role-based access within that region. So for example, today I'm a super user or a root-based permission user, but you could provide read-only or specific granular permissions into specific elements of the console as well. So that helps you make sure that IT administrators in your organization have just the level of access that you need, and it's as secure as possible, and that's built in here. So very easy to do that. Also, some common actions that help you out here, things like the ability to download inventory reports as you're auditing the environment, set lease timers, and access some of the underlying technologies as well. At a high level also, we keep track of bandwidth and network usage, and we also, throughout the interface, keep access and visibility and history into the events taking place within the organization. Again, you have multiple administrators logging into the environment, and you want to actually see exactly what they're doing. We keep full audit trails, which can be exported at any time. Now, what I'm going to do first of all within the dashboard is show you the level of control and visibility that you have. So we delve into a resource pool and we work on a fully VMware-based resource pool approach. So you can buy just what you need and then delegate that out to individual VMs in whatever shape and size you want. Here is where you can keep track of exactly what's running in the cloud in any one location. So you can see here I have a range of locations and a range of virtual machines running. I can keep track of the associated resources. And it's very easy to consume and spin up new virtual machines in the Cloud Console. I can simply add a new virtual machine and build that from templates, should I want to. So here, to quickly show you how easy it is to build a virtual machine, we can build one while we're here. So this is going to be the Tech Talk VM, for example. And I'm going to put a name. You can add a description should you wish, and you can choose where you provision this. So this can be in a certain location and a certain locality. What we can then do is we can use our own catalog of virtual machine templates. And one thing is you can download and upload your own VApp templates, your own OVAs, for example. And you can also bring in your own ISO images for OS installs, for example. But what you can also do is take advantage of islands templates that are built into the interface. Things like Microsoft Windows, for example, a common operating system that everyone mentions and uses on a day-to-day basis. We actually provide OS-level licensing built in free of charge for the Windows operating system level. So at any point you want to spin up a Windows server, that's going to be no cost in terms of that license. And it's very easy to provision the operating system of your choice from our Cloud Console catalog. We also keep track and actually provide templates into our common Linux variants as well. So we can choose the operating system. We can then name it appropriately. I'm just going to call this VM Tech Talk, for example. I'm going to do the same for the computer name, and I can choose a storage profile. One of the things I didn't mention is we work pretty heavily with a vendor called HPE Nimble. That provides accelerated storage by default for our production and DR platforms. That's also encrypted at default level as well for security. We provide that in both a hybrid SSD as well as a pure SSD mix as well. So you can pick the storage profile per disk and assign it to the virtual machine. And then we can go through the relevant network settings, review that, and submit that and get that going within the cloud environment. So very simple to do that, as you can see. Now, what we'll show you here is actually a virtual machine that's been running for some time. And the reason I'll show you that is for a number of reasons around the level of control, visibility, and access that you have over those virtual machines. So typically, I'm going to actually go down to a virtual center. That virtual center has been running in my environment for the last number of months, actually. Now, every level across the globe and in every location, every virtual machine that you run, whether that's a disaster recovery machine or a production machine, you have complete control and visibility over it in terms of resources, so we can keep track and change those at any point in time. You can maintain things like VMware tools and versioning. But most importantly, as you're building machines and actually utilizing those in the cloud, you want to make sure that those are as efficient as possible from a resource perspective, but to be able to monitor them from a support perspective as well. So at all times across the board, we're showing performance metrics across CPU, memory, network, and storage, which are some of the key metrics that IT administrators utilize. And we're doing that both in real time, and we're also storing statistics going back the last year. So as you're making decisions around sizing these workloads, you can actually understand the seasonal demand of those systems and actually tune the resources allocated to them as a result of that. You can also see spikes of demand. So you can say, well, I want to be informed, for example, if my resources hit a certain point, so I can make some changes if I need to. Well, we have built-in monitoring capabilities through across the board into all of these metrics that we display. So you can customize what you're interested in and be informed as soon as any of those metrics are triggered. So you can see those across the board, and you can see a whole range of metrics in here around CPU. Now, what we're also doing as soon as these machines run live is, as a result of integrating Veeam technology, is we can provide backups, again, daily, and go all the way up to 7 years if you need to from a backup perspective. Once those backups are in place, and in this machine's example, I have 7 days of backup, at any point I have full self-service capabilities to restore back a machine should I wish to. And that's just built into the interface. So we'll have a way to restore back my machines should the worst happen within that region. Now that's a little bit about VM control. If we go to the networking section, we have full capabilities to manage my networking. And again, I mentioned NSX is built into our environment. That gives you the ability to manage your networking on a day-to-day basis and make sure that it is available, accessible for your customers and your end users. So our default option is to integrate a VMware NSX firewall. This is a very robust firewall from VMware that is available within the infrastructure to manage your ongoing firewall needs. That can all be administrated through the cloud console. So here, an example of my edge gateway, I have a number of internal networks. Again, by resulting the integration of NSX into our cloud platform, you can add and change internal networking on the fly at any point through the cloud interface and define the software networking here at any point. We then can control the firewalling and things like network address translation directly through the interface. So if I want to make a simple firewall change, I can simply do that through the interface, through the Manage Firewall Rules section, and I can actually edit these at any point or add a new rule, and it's using the common methodology that you'd expect from a typical firewall. What's pretty unique is we're also backing up the configuration every change. So if you do make a mistake or somebody comes along and makes an error within the configuration, you always have an ability to restore back at any point from our configurations that we store on the back end. What this firewall also does is it gives you typical controls such as SSL VPN and IPsec VPN for branch offices and remote clients. You can configure all of those elements directly through the interface as well, which is pretty handy. Now, what we also see is customers also want potentially their own appliances. We fully support that, bringing in your own third-party appliances, whether they're physical or virtual. But through our cloud console, this is a really nice way to make sure that your networking is up-to-date, secure, and to meet your needs as you use the environment. As I mentioned, we have a direct section for catalogs. Again, you can maintain your own select catalog, bring in your own images and bring those out. We don't lock you in, and we want to make sure you can get the data in and out of the environment. And again, we provide a constantly updated catalog from the ILAN perspective of the common operating systems in the environment as well. One of the things we mentioned in the Tech Talk series is we're going to do a live failover of the environment, one of my environment applications that I'm running. So I've gone across to my Dallas location. So previously we were in Reston on the east coast of America. I've gone into the central region in Dallas. And what I'm going to do is show you exactly the level of visibility and control you have over DR as a technology. So commonly, our customers are doing production hosting in their own data center, and they're protecting those workloads to island. Or they're hosting island services, hosting services in island, and they're doing cloud-to-cloud DR to another island facility. We enable that between any of island's facilities. But one of the nice things is, from the island end, from the destination, you always have visibility, control, and management capabilities over the DR solution. So if you lose access to your source location, which is common in a DR event, maybe you've had a large-scale flood, natural disaster, power failure, for example, you can't get access to the source side interface. Well, what we built in, first of all, through the ILAN console, is the way to failover directly through this interface. So not only can you rely on ILAN Tier 2 technicians to help you out if you need to and initiate this for you, but if you have the ability to get to a network connection, connect to an iPad or an iPhone or a MacBook, for example, you have your own capabilities to failover or test directly through this interface as well, which is really nice to maintain your recovery times as a business. What I'm going to be doing today is a test failover. With our DR technologies, you can do DR tests non-intrusively at any time. We also, again, have the ability to do a live failover should we wish to. But again, we're doing a test in this tech talk. And what we can do also is we can select what type of test we want to do or what type of live failover we want to do. Do we want to selectively failover one application or a set of applications? Or do we want to enact a previously tested runbook as a business that we define for business continuity? We have both options here with the ILAN Cloud. Today, I'm just going to failover a corporate website, for example. I'm just going to click into that. And here you can see you can selectively failover what you wish to the ILAN Cloud very easily and simply, which makes it really nice in a pinch when you're under the gun, you've got a lot of pressure as a company in terms of DR. It's really nice to be very simply and easily available an option to failover your environment. You can do that to the latest point in time, or you can do that to a historical point in time should you wish. And we store with the Island Cloud up to 30 days of history should you wish to give you granular recovery should you be hit by something like ransomware, human error, or data corruption. I'm going to recover back the environment to this position, for example, from overnight. So we submit that, we click next, and we can actually confirm those details, and we can click submit to actually trigger that failover in place into the Island Cloud. We're doing this live at the moment within the Island interface, and you can see in the top right-hand corner, we trigger the Zerto failover test, in this case, the technology we're using in this example, and we're triggering that into the Island Cloud. While we do that, I just want to show you a few things in this interface while we failover. One thing is we can define runbooks, again, that I mentioned. This enables you to define failover strategies, things like the ability to failover your full site, failover just your tier 1 applications. You can define all of those different scenarios within the Island interface, and we can drag and drop the applications you wish to enact and bring up in the cloud very easily and simply. You can click submit, and we have one of those actually ready to go. So this helps you simplify how you define and orchestrate your DR failover. So you can see this is running. We keep real-time progress into any active failover tasks. We also show recent failover tasks within the Island interface. So at all points, you can see any previous tests or failovers that have taken place. And more importantly, you can define your own user details in here. So if you wanted to make extensive notes around your DR testing, you can type those in after any test. And nicely, you can download a report after that's taken place. And that report will detail exactly what happened during that DR testing. And just before I did the actual webinar here, I brought up an example, and that's what I'm actually going to bring up while we speak. And the nice thing here is it gives you a full audit trail into any of the testing that you took place. And in this case, I tested, as you can see, this was one I did back in June. I had an RTO of 2 minutes and 40 seconds. So this is a really nice way to validate what the RTO is going to look like. And we can also audit all of the steps that took place during that DR test. And this is something we can send on to business stakeholders, interested parties across the board. So this is just built into the Island Secure Cloud Console. So that's running. While it does run, it takes us a couple of minutes to fail over into the Island Cloud. What I'm also going to do is show you some of the embedded security that we have in the Secure Cloud. So we took a decision a number of years ago to embed core security technologies and a lot of compliance documentation into our cloud interface. We knew that a lot of customers were consuming the cloud or considering the cloud, and one of the barriers in their head and their decision-making process was, how secure is the cloud? How much transparency do I have into what the service provider is doing? How can I get answers to the questions I need? Well, we actually, at that point in time, were doing things like data center tours, answering questions directly with our dedicated compliance division. But what we wanted to do is we wanted to give our customers and our testing prospects the ability to get this information and see this information as soon as they can. So if I scroll down through the security section, one of the things that we first did in the environment was we provided the ability to download Island's compliance documentation directly through the interface. So if you simply get asked to get a copy of your service provider's ISO certification, you can download that self-service through the console. And we provided all of Island's compliance documentation for download here. We're also keeping track of login history and cloud event history. Again, all of this is to be downloaded, can be helping you actually complete audits of your cloud environment. But what we've also done is we've integrated some core technologies. As you could see in the diagram right at the start, integrated technologies from Trend Micro Deep Security. So what we wanted to do is provide the most secure platform as possible for our production customers and our DR customers to consume. So things like malware and antivirus scanning, log inspection, intrusion detection, individual VM firewalling, and web reputational scanning, they're all available by default at the platform level for your virtual machine. So you don't have to worry about those things. They're available for you to use. And one of the really nice technologies that I like in particular is the vulnerability scanning. And this uses a technology called Nessus from Tenable. And what this does is vulnerability scanning at the external layer. So as soon as you run live workloads in our environment, you can actually run on-demand assessments of those systems using our direct tools through the Cloud Console, as well as configure alerts to keep track of anything picked up as part of the automatic scanning that we're doing. Then after any tests have taken place, you actually get a really nice report that will detail any vulnerabilities that exist in your environment. So you can see I've actually got 2 medium priority alerts that I need to be aware of and actually need to rectify in our environment. So I can follow through to the Tenable website and actually get advice around remediation, or I can actually contact Island engineers to get help along the way as well. Again, this is a really nice way to validate the security of your environment is available for your production workloads as well as your DR workloads. And what we often find is customers are doing test failovers to the Island Cloud and then using a non-intrusive copy of their production environment, they're running vulnerability assessments against that to then give them an assessment of what their production and their DR workloads look like from a security perspective. And they're actually able to validate ways to address that directly through the Island Cloud Console and on a copy of their machines before addressing those things in production. So that's a really nice way of combining our platform level service, our DR technologies, and using those together to solve a business problem or a technology problem, making sure that your applications are as secure as possible. So again, all of these things built in free of charge into the platform, available to consume self-service if any point you need them. At the bottom right, you'll see access to our live chats. This is the ability to chat directly to our tier 2 technicians over the live chat. They can see where you are in the cloud console. They can help you contextually as you need it. All of our technicians are also available via email, via the phone as well, so you can get them physically on the phone without having to go through a call logging system. So we would really encourage you to use this support at any point as you use our cloud platform. Finally, I also wanted to show the billing section briefly. This is really useful for the financial teams in the organization. What we aim to do here is provide full visibility into both historical and live costs as you consume the platform. So a lot of our models use reserved elements, but we also have the ability to burst ad hoc to resource consumption. We don't charge in those instances for the actual allocation of resources, but rather the consumed resources. And what we've aimed to do is here provide live cost projections, estimates, and usage patterns into your billing. So you don't get surprised by your cloud costs. You can see them at all times. You can also break them down by virtual data center, department, or end customer. So you can see exactly what's being consumed at any point, anywhere throughout the cloud console. And because we have role-based access here, you always have the ability to delineate access to the section to potentially the CFO or financial director in your company. So this is always available should you need to see your cloud costs. Now, just before we end, just this brief demonstration, I did want to show you that as we've been speaking, I'm going to go through and see that my corporate website is testing recovery. So you can see that this system is running live. You can see in the top right-hand corner, it's powered online. We see it exactly running. We see the performance metrics start to gather. So this is a full copy of my system running in the cloud. We have full control, visibility, and access to it. And we actually built in a really nice VM console into every VM here running. So you can always get to the keyboard and mouse of your server and interact with it should you wish to. This is going to be an Ubuntu server, but you can see that I can access it should I not have network access. This is a really nice way to validate application consistency, performance, data integrity, and actually just simply the access to the machine. We can do all of this through the VM console built into our secure cloud. So that was really nice. We have that system running. Now what we want to do is, after any DR test, is simply complete that. And as I mentioned at the start, we can make as many or as few notes in here as possible. I'm just going to note here that we did a successful test on the first Tech Talk with Island of 2018. And I can make as many of those notes as I want. They'll be placed in the PDF that you saw earlier. And this will simply return those VMs back to a previously dormant state. Again, all while doing this test, the system was running. It wasn't affecting the production system, and it was keeping that replication going within the Island Cloud as well. So that was a brief tour of the Secure Cloud Console. There's a lot more to it, but we only had 30 minutes. What I'm going to do here is go back to my slides and just finish off here with a few thoughts. So first of all, I wanted to open up for a few questions, and I think my colleague Anna and myself has been tracking the questions as we've been speaking. I saw a few questions here I'm going to answer. One was, do you offer any security on your storage array? The good news is we provide full AES 256-bit encryption at the storage layer. That's managed by us and available just inherently on the platform. Also a question here, what if I want a new feature of the Cloud Console? Do you control this interface? Is this a piece of software that you white label? How do I get my feedback listened to and those types of things? Well, good news there is all the feedback you have, you can actually suggest not only to your account manager, but directly through the cloud interface. And we actually feedback to our development team all of that information, and we hold regular customer councils. We look through that feedback, and we aim to put those features in the latest releases. And actually, we have actually developed this entire interface ourselves, so we actually can control the destiny of this interface and actually build what you need if there's anything missing that you want as well. There's a question about accessing the support team. Again, we can do that through the phone as well as the Cloud Console as well as email as well. And around networking appliances, I think I answered that before, but we do have full flexibility to provide the ability to co-locate physical hardware as well as provide virtual hardware for networking as well. So some of those questions I was running through again because we're limited on time. If you do have any other questions as we've been working through, please feel free to submit them. We will get to those after the call as well. I also did want to just make a note that we have upcoming Tech Talk series. I do want to get feedback from everyone listening as well, so please provide that. If this was useful or not useful, please do let me know. This was the next one in the series on September 21st, how to size VMs and workloads for disaster recovery, working through the Island Catalyst tool. We've got some nice ones on native VMware clouds versus hyperscale, one on our secure cloud powered by Veeam for disaster recovery, and another one around our recently launched secure cloud backup service with Office 365 for the workloads and the mailboxes and the contacts and calendars actually running in Office 365. We're providing a really nice way to back up that with Veeam and our cloud backup service. So that's going to be in December. So if you want to subscribe to any of those, visit island.com/techtalkswebinar with the hyphens, and you can subscribe to later events as well. But with that, again, thank you very much for attending. Visit island.com/contact to reach out with any details. Feel free to submit them through the GoToWebinar, and we can definitely provide a one-on-one demonstration with far more details specific to your project, and we really appreciate the opportunity. So again, thank you very much, and look forward to the next Tech Talk series.